record here. Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. You guys keep coming back, so that's a good start. Means we're we're doing something correct. We have a lot of stuff for tonight. It's a very dense night, so we'll keep it moving and keep on schedule the best we can here to keep going through. Again, just quick reminder, if you have not, make sure you shoot me a text so I have your number, please. I appreciate that. Again, Dave and John, who's our youth assigner, are putting games in right now. They're not published, so published is when they get released over to the officials and you see them. If you do go in Arbiter and you click the blocks tab, you will see different colors on different days. Red, and then there's a key to the left. The red will be different partial or full day blocks. And then if you see any type of blue, it indicates you have a game put in right now. And Dave and John have been doing those. So again, make sure if any days, even if it's partial, if you're leaving from something different, you can put in all those on there. Uniforms, again, if you have any questions, let me know on those. I'm starting to collect a few different shoe models for you. Those are a couple of the questions I got on just additional variations of shoes. So I'm starting to put a few of those together. The one thing we kind of missed, and I kind of thought of once we got off the call because we went through it quick and we'll go over it very quickly right now, but timing for non-varsity games is the one thing we didn't get to go over. So we will move straight to that. And then we'll get into our itinerary. This is a little bit of the recap of last week. So again, when we go to a varsity game, we're playing 12-minute stops. If you'd watch a game on ESPN or a college game, they do 15-minute stops, similar to any college versus high school game. We play a little bit less time. When we get to JV, we are generally doing 10-minute stops. It is also okay to do 12-minute running. There's a huge bold parentheses right there that says ask the head coaches, right? Is our goal is not to shortchange the players and the teams, right? But ask them, is that they have to agree. If they cannot agree, the default goes to the rule, which is 10-minute stop. Same thing if you do a youth game, ask them. The other part of that too is all 4 different levels play different timings. Different teams play different timings when we're in the youth levels of A versus B teams, right? So ask the coaches. They can be your friends in terms of that. It's not that we don't know the rules, but if they've already played 7, 8, 9 games the same way, they probably want to play it to continue it the same way or come to an agreement, right? On the varsity, it's standard. We don't deviate ever on the varsity side. On the JV side, right? Again, there could be different factors. Use logic as well. If it is, I'm just going to make it up because all of our timing sense is off right now. If it is 7:15 and the game is supposed to start at 6:30 and the field doesn't have lights and you know sundown is at 7:45 and we only have 30 minutes, we shouldn't be doing a full 12-minute stop game for a JV potentially, right? Ask, use logic, work through the best of those things. We have 2-minute breaks. When you get your timers, depending on the fashion of the timer, you have a 20-second, which we're going to talk about counts today, and then you have a minute 40. The minute 40 is actually for timeouts. And so again, we want to timer timeouts, and we'll talk about why we do that. And again, at 10-minute halftime, we can reduce. In varsity, we generally don't reduce unless the coaches are literally pleading for a different time. Again, we can ask coaches in a different scenario, youth or a JV game, use logic. Again, if we are losing daylight, we might want to go quicker. If the teams just want a quick water break, go back to the bench, 2 or 3 minutes, that's fine as long as the head coaches agree. Make sense on that? Sometimes in weather conditions, you'll see that. The first game I had last year, Notre Dame versus West Haven High School, it was, I think, raining sideways and 45-mile-per-hour wind is a good way to put it, right? Like straight up nor'easter. And both coaches are like, can we go? The answer is yes, right? And the point is you want to keep people safe and keep people inside at the best you can in those scenarios, right? And it's about getting reps. Questions on timing on the initial? Awesome.
Hey, Rob,
Yep.
I would just add, and in particular in youth games, never, ever lengthen a game over the rule. So if you get to a U14 game and the coaches go, oh, we'd like to play 12-minute stop today. Negative. Don't do it. You can always shorten, but you can't lengthen.
Great point. And then within the NFHS rules, youth, we do not do this, right? In the last 2 minutes, we have a stall in effect. right? And a stall is they need to keep it within that box or that scoring area on the field. And again, it's 4 goals or less is what it moved to. So if anybody has previous lacrosse experience, it used to be on automatically, and we had a lot of issues with that because it was time for the defense to take a lot of aggression out on the team that was winning by a lot, and they had a confined area. So again, just remember 4 or less, and we'll go over that more in depth when we get to it. The other one, the mercy rule, just a very quick kind of idea. Again, once it gets to 12 goals or different, in the second half, we go to running clock, and it continues to be running clock for the rest of the game. The old rule was different. I'm not even going to tell you what it is if you don't have experience. That way you don't get confused, right? But regardless, even if it gets to be tied, we continue running. If a team magically scores 12 more goals, right, and then we're tied at 13-13, we keep it rolling. It's just the way the rule is written, so we do not stop it. Penalty time is still the regular penalty time. And the way, if we get to that scenario, the bench, and so the table should be instructed, once that whistle blows, that's when that penalty starts. Again, you will see some, because the scoreboard is running, they'll enter it and it'll ticks off a few seconds. Do not make a massive deal out of it if it's 4 or 5 seconds, right? Is use your best judgment. Again, the team fouled. We want to keep the game moving. It is really a safety issue at this point of why we have a mercy rule. The team that is losing by 12 or more is usually not happy campers. We've all been in that scenario, unfortunately, in sports. We all want to generally take somebody's head off part of sports, right? We want to try to prevent that if we can as an administrator, if that makes sense. We move through, and
Hey,
again, we'll
Rob,
kind of, yep, go ahead.
do you want to mention overtime since you were talking about timing of the game?
I do not, because it's on
Okay.
their scorecard.
Okay. Just the
Thank
amount
you.
of time.
Yep,
That's all.
thank you. 4 minutes is a good point. 4 minutes, we play until there's a winner. So we play 4-minute periods, and then we switch the sides. We'll go over the coin toss scenario too. Thank you, though. That was a good point. These, again, we're going to have as a newer official. You will have a more experienced official as your crew chief or as your R. You will generally be the umpire when we first start. This is generally how we flow through in the game. Once we get onto the field, right? We want to talk to both of the head coaches. So this is a good kind of little note section for you. And this is kind of a rundown. We want to find the coaches. We also want to identify the field. That's the one I always like putting as like a 0.5, right, on this list of look at the field. Especially when you get older in this game, and I'm one of those, and you spend a lot of times on field, every single field is lined differently. So the first thing we generally say when we get to the field, we say out of bounds is black, out of bounds is gold. We play on Saturday game I officiate. We had gold out of bounds and white midlines, right? It was crazy confusing on that. And then black was substitution lines, and your brain couldn't comprehend any of those, right? So you want to identify those. What's the crease color? Do we have a midline? All those good things. We meet with the head coach. Again, we're going to do an activity to go through this. We then do captains and coin toss. Again, you can say the substitution, that's kind of an extra if we're doing college. Is that a lot of high schools? I know, Dom, you were kind of within that realm, right? We might talk to the bench coaches on more elite level varsity teams because they have larger staffs as well, as we want to be friendly and create a relationship, because those are our biggest helps in terms of administrators. Head coaches are watching the games. Anybody within those substitution coaches, those coaches are really, really good tools to help use. We do want to meet with the table and go over all those different responsibilities. We want to make sure the field is set. We want to make sure we have a ball. We want to check the nets. Then we're going to move to our lineup, right? And we'll go over what the lineup and everything else means. In terms of that lineup, by rule, this has to happen, right? And we have one of those on the quiz. We'll go over in half a second. Everybody's in the lineup. This is a great time that we get to count everybody. We need how many? We'll throw it to, let's pick up Max. I'll pick on you. How many people do we need per team to start a game?
10 each team.
10 each team. This is a great time, just like my 2-year-old, and sometimes I'm very bad at counting compared to her, right? We need to count to 10 on each side, right? If you have 8 or you have 7, We need to bring somebody. It's usually one of the midfielders, always. Is they're usually confused. They change. The attack and the defense know who they are. The midfielders get to change every game, right? We need them. Let's start. Dave, what is the other two people we're looking for? You can give me one of them, please.
You want to make sure they have a goalie, right?
Yep, an equipped goalie. Excellent. And then give me Brooks, who's the third person we're looking for, or second person.
I think coach.
Nah, is the coach on the field at any points once we start the game?
Oh, this is after the game started.
This is the lineup. So we're at the lineup.
Oh, the lineup. Okay, no, I retract my answer as coach.
You're okay.
Okay.
Who else do we need?
We need the umpire and the referee.
Okay, I'll accept that. That is not the correct answer, but it's the right answer. So I like it. Terrence. Oh, Terrence is driving. I don't want to pick on you. Kelvin.
No, I got it.
Oh, Terrence, who we got?
Is it the face off?
Nope, not the face-off guy.
No.
Who do we need by rule? I'll pick on Dom
By
since I know you're on a computer, so
The
it's a little bit
timer.
easier. Nope,
It's
we're talking in the lineup.
you need the two attackmen.
Right here. You
Need
can see my screen.
the in-home.
We need the in-home, right? We need the in-home.
Okay.
Remember, the lineup is we're going to start the game. Nobody else is on the field except for 20 players and your partner. Your partner, 20 players. That's it. We don't want anybody else on the field, right? We're ready to go. The game is going to start in about 60 seconds from now. Who do we need? We need all 10 players in each team, a properly equipped goalie, and we need an in-home. By rule, what's an in-home?
The first attackman in the book.
It's now just the starting attackman, generally
Okay.
first in the book, which is fine. That's the old school way of referring to it. It's a 100% acceptable answer. We don't penalize a high school team, especially if I think of Foreign has an awesome table crew that works every game and they handwrite all 60 players in every game. If they make a mistake, we're not going to make them rewrite all 60 players, right? Is the best we can starting attackman. And they have to start on the field. And with that, what does the in-home serve as? Or what happens? When does the in-home come into play?
Typically, wouldn't they serve a penalty either for the bench or potentially maybe the goalie, depending?
Correct. In NFHS, our goalie still serves, but you're correct. In the youth game, we will allow in-homes in certain scenarios, any team penalties, any coach penalties, or if we can't identify who is the player, right? We sometimes say, again, make it up within reason, right? We don't want to penalize just a random person, but if there's two people and it look like they both slashed at the same time, we pick one of those numbers, right? So again, that's our in-home, right? So a little bit tricky, unique to lacrosse within that. Again, then we have them lined up player to player. Some of you are on phones, so you can't see my slides, so it's a little bit more difficult, and it's okay. When we get into this lineup, we have our referee stand on one end, our umpire on the other. The referee does all the talking. I always say keep it brief. We spend a lot of time and think of any 15, 16, 17-year-old kid. They generally don't listen to a thing you say regardless. And the last thing they want to do, they've been amped up for a game all day. It's finally 3:30. They're out of high school. They don't have to deal with parents. They're ready to hit somebody or score goals or make good saves. The last thing we want to do is hear an adult talk for 36 minutes, right? So I say keep it brief, keep it on point, right? Everybody's got a different term for this, the alley or shoot. I like saying the shoot, right? And just a different term for it. Again, we're going to put left shoulder to goal. If John is my umpire for today, I might say, good afternoon, everybody. Some people make really bad weather jokes. I try to take myself out of that bucket, but I say good afternoon. Always a great day for the game of lacrosse. We have John. I'm Rob. All you have to do is have fun today and honor the game. Goalies down the chute. I'm done in 15 seconds, right? We're rocking and rolling. The goalies will touch hands first in the middle of all of this. As you can kind of see right here, you see the goalies. Once the goalies come out, all the players will cross and usually give a fist bump to their opposing, either defenseman and attackman. Midfielders usually do 3 and then defensemen do those. They usually stay within their positions, believe it or not, in all my years. We only do 3 versus liking other people. I don't know why. Every game we do this. On the JV and every game on the varsity side, we do this. Sound good, Andy?
Sorry. I agree to keep it short, but I also think it's an opportunity to remind them which things to stress. So in my little 10 seconds longer speech, I tell them mouthpieces are required to be in your mouths and don't cuss on the field.
And so, as we said, as we then get to captains, again, just to go through these pretty briefly to the point, and then we're going to have a fun activity, like we said. And to that point of captains are a great tool, as Andy just said, right? Is that we can always readdress the larger, can also tell the captains. I always make a deal with the captains. When I talk to them, we do a coin toss. I say, you're part of our team. The one promise I will make to every captain is I will talk to you no matter what, if you come calmly and if you come in a dead ball. I always say that, is that if you come calmly to me, and even in a college game, I've had a captain come over and said, sir, you promised that you would talk to me. And I said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to talk to you. Right. And so again, you open up that communication, because when things get a little squirrely, you can lean on them a little bit. Right. So to go through, and we're going to jump into an activity. We're just off time. We're doing good though. We got a lot to go over. Rule 4's got 31 sections. We're going to take a massive section out, which is the goal crease, and do that next week. And we're going to do face-offs as part of Rule 4, along with everything else in Rule 4. And we're going to do personal fouls. I think, to be honest with you, personal fouls are easy, right? Because when somebody gets hit very violently, we know it's a penalty. We know what to do. We're going to determine and define what those penalties are. That's the easier part. Rule 4 is very nuanced and tricky and very particular to our game and our sport versus other sports, right? It's essentially, I look at basketball, the last 2 minutes of basketball, there's about 90 pages of rules, right? For that, it's very unique to that sport. So again, we're going to go through each of those as our kind of presser, and to kind of get everybody smiling a little bit. Look at yesterday's game of how the officials are treated afterwards, right? All because of one call on the field. And what you generally saw, if you listen to sports talk or any kind of analysis on the Super Bowl yesterday, was simple. They felt like the bar wasn't at the same call for that holding call at the end. That's what people were mad at. They weren't mad that it was or was not holding. It was mad because they felt the entire game was called at a certain level, and then all of a sudden it became a very crucial time, and then that bar changed, right? So I think that's an awesome lesson for today of make it to the Super Bowl and get lots of money and then get yelled at either way. That's kind of lesson number one, right? But the real lesson is, even at that level, right, the expectation is set. If there was holding calls all game, you wouldn't hear that analysis, but you don't see holding calls all game, and then you see one in a critical time, and that's what everybody will galvanize around, for good or for bad, right? So again, Rule 4, US Lacrosse actually used this as their slide. And I think this is hilarious in terms of, like, they're the ones supposed to saying, like, just read the rules and go through the rule book and everything will be fine. And then they use a sleeping child to illustrate how amazing Rule 4 is, which doesn't give me a lot of hope in life, right? Like, if the people who create them and say it's going to be fine, I'm supposed to be the other one, right? So it's a lot to cover. Again, we're going to get the whales, not the minnows. There is a scenario, I won't even explain it, but John, Dick, and I at Yale on Saturday, there was a scenario, and essentially there is 3 correct answers. There's one more right answer than the 3, but at the end of the day, the crux of it is, it's not that team's ball anymore. It's the other team's ball. Let's play lacrosse, right? That's kind of the answer, regardless of which rule or what interpretation or how you want to explain it. It goes, you can't do that. It's the other team's ball. So again, remember, in the context of how we play games in the backyard or in the street or in the schoolyard, right? If you do something wrong, the other team gets the ball, right? That's kind of the fundamental overview I always like to go with of what's right and wrong. If you did something wrong, it's not your ball. Let's move on. Let's keep playing. The one before we go into the activity, I really like this slide to explain, and we're going to show a quick video, and then we'll move to the activity I think is coming up pretty quickly, if I can pull this other one up and see. And so I could do that one. Okay, excellent. And so one of the things we talk about is timing and hustle. That's the thing we can control as officials. We can't control if there's more goals scored or if the bus is late, and we can't control if coaches are a little bit more prickly around the edges or not prickly on any given day. What we can control is hustle, right? This breakdown is fantastic. When we look at a high school game, right, the timeouts, which are, again, we'll talk about those when we get into the Rule 4. And in terms of halves, these are all the amount of minutes maximum. So we look at, it's an hour and 10. If we look at how long the face-off takes, we can chop off a lot of minutes, 20, 30 minutes to some games. I've unfortunately been part of games that are in high school that have taken 2.5 hours long because it takes us 2 minutes to get to the face-offs, or we want to check everything, right? We need to hustle and move along, retrieve the ball, keep it moving. So the quick kind of video clip on that one, and this should load. Andy, I'm going to take your advice. I didn't do it. Let me reshare and let me optimize and share sound. So we have all that and we're back on. Whoop, give me one more try here. And we're going to do screen 2. We're good and should be good here. Excellent. All right. We should be ready to rock and roll. All right, one more time. All right. What do we not like in this video clip? What do we got? Let me pick on Devin. What do you not like in that video clip?
Can you replay it? Because for some reason it's not like moving at all for me.
Is that working?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the ref is just like walking up to the ball. If he just had a little pep in his step, maybe a light jog or something like that, get the game moving a little bit faster.
Does it just look better when we jog, even if we fake jog, right? Like if you move your arms a little bit, it just looks better, right? What's the other thing you don't like in the beginning when we see it? When it comes back around here? What did the ref not do?
I'm actually not sure.
Record the score? No.
Nope, it's super simple. What's the ref doing right here? Here, we'll go back. Think simple. Think whales, not minnows. What can we control? What did he just do?
He didn't catch the ball.
Yeah. Are you in a spot that it looks like you're attempting to catch the ball when your body's half turned, right? General sports on it. Think about in football, right? In the Super Bowl, we're in a hurry up and they throw the ball to the official, right? And the official doesn't catch it. And you get to wait 18 seconds of the team's play clock. Would that be acceptable? Of course not, right? Can you drop the ball in life? Of course you can, right? We're not going to fault this official if you missed it. But to that point, is there a difference if you dropped it and you actually go run over to pick it up and then you hustle back over, right? Now we're here. When he arrives, who's also there? Who's at the face-off circle?
Face-off guys.
Right, the face-off guys. Do you have time to now look at the field, make sure there's wing guys, make sure the bench area is clear, make sure the scoreboard's correct, make sure your officials, your partner's in position? No, the face-off guys are there. When the face-off guys are there, we should be starting the face-off, right? So it's again this point of we need to be ahead and proactive in everything we do, right? This is just one clip to it, but think of back to that point, right? 15 or 20 seconds go by and we add it up, 30, 40 times. Takes a half hour, 40 minutes, right? So again, these little simple things that we can do really adds up. So what we're going to do, we're going to throw you into breakouts real quick. We're going to spend about 7 minutes. If my time is here, we're going to come back 7:35 and go over the Rule 4 quiz that I emailed out today, right? But the big key, I want your cadre to go through, as Andy said, I want you to go over what you tell the captains and to go over the lineup. And then if the newer official wants to take a stab at it, what do we tell the captains and how do we do that lineup spiel when we're standing at the chute? So we're going to do that first and then start on for cadre. This is your instruction. When we're in those breakouts, we're going to purposely start on a different number besides one on that quiz. Pick a random number. So we all start at different points, get through whatever you can, and then we're going to come back and do it as an entire group, that entire quiz. Make sense on that one?
So Rob, we're just picking random questions off the quiz.
Yeah,
So
or
which
just
one?
start at like 22 and then work your way down from 22 and then loop back around.
Okay.
And if you want to pick a different number than 22, that's more than okay. All right, let me just see who we got here. All right, so we got Dick, Andy, myself. Mike, do you want to take a group?
Me or
Infantino.
Say that
Unmute
again?
Mike.
oh, okay.
Mike Infantino, unmute.
All right, so we'll do, give me 2 seconds. We're gonna move you into breakout rooms. So again, as you're doing this, you can pull up that quiz and then let me just do Mr. Vernon, Andy, and then, okay, we're gonna do. Oh, come on.
So Rob, you want captain's lineup and 5 questions.
Yeah, give or take.
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna open rooms. Give me half a second. I'm gonna reassign you. Should pop up on your screen momentarily. All right, should be good. And then Terrence, let me know if you're good.
You're muted, Rob.
Thank you, sir. I'll do the same evil hand gesture. What do we need to tell the hand captain, the captains? So we talked to the coach, right? We moved on, and so now we're talking to the captains. What do we tell the captains?
I think it's important. Well, of the many things you tell them, you mentioned that they have to relay to all the guys on the team that they have to wear their mouth guards, and keep it clean, no trash talking.
What would you, so I'm going to be a snothead 17-year-old on purpose. Sir, what do you mean by trash talking? Can I say God damn it?
No profanity.
But God damn it's not a profane term.
I would just tell them to be respectful. That's disrespectful.
Right. So again, to your point, right? I'm being devil's advocate on purpose, right? Is we got to be a little bit careful, right? In our talk to the captains, not majorly, but we got to remember they're 15, 16, 17, right? And some are 18, right? So again, we want to be specific yet vague to that point of, hey, we need to be respectful all times, honor the game, right? And then they go, if they do, I don't think I've ever had a captain ever say anything else, right? But to Andy's point, if we say no cussing on my field, right? That can be one of them to that point. What else do we want to tell them?
I think we want to also, it's like you said earlier, say, hey, I'm willing to talk to you if it's a dead ball and you come over to me like a gentleman. So if you have a question about the game, you're more than willing to come over to me during dead ball and you talk like a gentleman. We could have a gentleman's talk.
Awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love that. Terrence, what's your third? I might do Terrence. I might turn your video off because you're a little jumpy, if that works. And then you should be able to unmute. There you
Yep.
go.
Okay. I I would say this. I would said the same thing about being a gentleman, and but also mind your players, to your teammates. My other thing would, if you have an issue, don't take it on yourself. Let us know, or let your coach know, and we'll take it from there. That's one.
Yeah. I think those are super perfect, right? And to your point, that's Max, that's where it kind of came into yours too, is that we can kind of say, hey, first thing, we're going to respect the game at all times. Your captains, you guys got to lead by example, right? Second thing, you guys got to lead your players.
Yes.
Right. And then however you want to phrase that, good. And then the third item, right, to that exact same point, we're available to talk. You're part of our team. Right. So you kind of, again, you got to be responsible for yourself, right? It's the old phrase of you can't lead anybody until you lead yourself kind of deal. And then it kind of goes to have to lead the others as well. You're in charge of all the knuckleheads, right? And a lot of us have different terms for that. And then the third one is kind of, we got to reinforce you can come talk to us. Anybody want to give me a concise captain spiel now that we got all three of those points? You want to make an attempt, please?
I can do it. Let's just say his name is John. Hey, John, I'm Dom. Just want to let you know, just let your teammates know to honor the game. Expect you to be respectful on the field. If you have any questions during the game, please wait for a dead ball. You can come over to me and talk to me like a gentleman, and have a good game.
I like it. Easy peasy, right?
Yep.
Max, you want to try one? So you got it, Dom. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I guess this would happen right before the coin toss to both groups
Correct.
of captains, right?
Yep.
So I'd say introduce myself. Hi guys, I'm Max. Let's have a clean game. Please be respectful of the other coaches and players and your teammates at all times. And if you have any questions about a call, you didn't agree with it, just come up to me at a dead ball, so we don't make a scene.
Good. I'd say maybe the same thing. Leave out the scene, right? And again, this is super nitpicky on language, right? But
No,
the
after
idea,
it came out of my mouth, I thought the same thing.
yeah, right. Like we don't want to say like I'm always right and you're wrong. So if you come to
Yeah.
me, you're gonna make a scene,
It
right?
did
Like
sound arrogant,
my
yeah.
call was terrible, right? Yeah, but yeah. So and that's why we're doing this, right? The more times you say it, and I've even said some things. I'm like, why on earth do we say that, right? Like guys do the face off spiels, and they're like, if you do it wrong, we're gonna violate you. Like it's just a really weird phrase to say. Like just take that out of your language, right? Like just say, hey, if something's wrong, there will be a violation, and it's the other team ball, right? Like again, it's just super simple. And again, remember we're dealing with high schoolers, right? So we always got to put it through a lens of, did what just come out of my mouth sound normal, right? And again, it takes us time to do that. I like that. Terrence, you want to throw us one, please?
Sure. I mean, for football, I would think I would be doing the same thing because I'm a white hat in that. So yeah.
Mhm.
So well, my thing, hi gentlemen, great day for a game, and then I would just tell them, listen, respect this game, the game that you love, and we're here to play. You're here to play. If you have any issues with anything, please come to me, come to us, or your player, or your coaches. Keep everything clean, and let's have some fun.
I love it. super easy peasy, right? And I'll even do mine too, right? So the same thing, we'll kind of, once they get to the middle, we'll say, gentlemen, introduce yourselves, right? You high five, you do whatever. Hey, again, this is Dom. I'm Rob. We're super excited to be here. Very simple today. Hey, first thing, you're our captains. You're part of our team as well. We need you to conduct yourselves and you need to honor the game at all times. Second thing, you need to get your chuckleheads before we get them. You know who they are. Make sure
Yep.
we don't know who they are. Make sense? I use a little bit of humor because that's my personality, right? It doesn't work for everybody. And then the third thing, super simple. At any point, you can come talk to us, but it's got to be two things. It's got to be calm. It's got to be a dead ball. We got a deal here? And they go, oh, yeah. Right? Awesome. Perfect. Right? And then I go, hey, Max, your visiting team, here's my coin. Here's heads, here's tails. I'll explain what it is, right? Heads and tails to show the home team, right? As well. Max, you get the call. What do you have, heads or tails?
Tails.
He's got roof. Perfect. Roof means tails, right? And sometimes you'll have kids, you'll be like, I'd be like, dude, just pick one. Right? And they're all crazy. I don't know, this is the hand lotion, right? And then you'll flip, and I'll generally say, same in football, of, hey, I'm going to let it hit the ground. I'm going to catch it. If I drop it, it's a retoss. I let it hit the ground because I don't even want the pressure trying to catch it sometimes, right? And I'll just say, hey, we're going to let it hit the ground. I'll throw it as high as I can. It lands. Cool. Tails, Max, you guys are visiting team. You guys get choice of either first goal to defend or first alternate possession. We're going to go through that again later, so don't get crazy. Which one would you like, Max?
AP.
Max wants AP. It's a bad choice because we'll never use it because as officials, we never make a mistake. We never mess up, Max. No, I'm kidding. That's a running joke. AP is only if we mess up, right? So I'm like, yo, we're perfect. So good luck with that, right? No, but okay, you got AP. Dom, you guys have first net to defend. Which one do you want to defend? He says that net, perfect. We're going to turn you around. Your left shoulder is going to face your goal, right? So again, I purposely do a lot of hand movements, right? I'm a very handy guy because I'm from New York, right? But I think this always helps. Hey, left, and then we turn, right? So we turn the whole pile. Again, the captains start where their backs towards the benches or the away. So the home team faces in, the away team faces out from the bench, and we'll turn them to where now their backs face the goal they defend first, right? And then we kind of say, hey, you're going to defend this goal. White, you're going to defend this goal first and third. We also do a cross symbol in that. I don't know why, this one. And then I'll go, blue, you guys have AP. And we're supposed to tap their shoulder. I generally don't touch the players if I don't have to, but I'll say blue and kind of pretend to tap their shoulder. You have first AP. Shall the need arise? They don't know what that means. Nobody does. You keep it moving, right? Captain, you have two things as your first order of business. First thing, you got to send me your face-off guys. Second thing, White, since you're the home team, Max, right? It was Max. You go, yeah, this guy remembers my name. And I go, yeah, I remembered it. Now you're in trouble, right? You got to find me a game ball. And then I make the 17-year-old get me a game ball because I'm lazy and don't want to walk places, right? And we just accomplish like 50 things in one thing. It's all whales and not minnows. Sound good on those? Let's do our spiel real quick. They're going to be yelling. It's already 7:40. It's fine. Let's do, how do we do the lineup? What would be your quick talk in the lineup? Let's go all three. We can go same order. Dom, you want to go first, please?
Yeah, so you're talking about lining everyone up?
Yep. So everybody's
so
lined up,
just-
ready to go. We got the in-home, we got the goalies. We're all good. What's your talk?
Just gentlemen, honor the game, play within the rules, listen to our instructions. That's
finish strong, finish strong. Never end. It's just like
and
if you're at a bar, you don't walk away going, what's your number, right? Finish strong.
And play hard and have fun.
Yeah, goalies down the chute, right? There you go. Always finish strong. We'll get you there. Don't worry. Go ahead, Max.
Gentlemen, I'm Max. This is my partner, Rob. Let's have a good game. Be respectful of each other and respectful of the rules. Make sure you keep your mouth guards in. Goalies, go ahead and shake hands, and then the rest of them too. Once the goalies leave,
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
maybe throw in have a good game when they're all walking away.
I like it. Terrence.
Good. Hey, gentlemen, this is Terrence. My name's Terrence, and this is my partner, Rob. Everyone have Make sure they have their mouthpieces in. Oh my goodness. How
You're
do I
okay. Finish strong. If you draw a blank, what should you do?
go right to the goal saying
Yeah,
go
just say have fun, goalies
have
go.
fun, goalies go. Yep.
That's always your backup, right? And if you
Always.
look at last year's national championship, right? They're mic'd up when they say it.
Mhm.
Go, gentlemen, you know why you're here. Goalies touch, right? Like that's it. It's amazing, right? You're just like, fantastic. We're ready to rock and roll, right? And you can always go that way, right? As
Okay.
I always say, you also, my last bit of advice, you want to match the expectation level of the game sometimes. If they're a JV game, they might be a little down. So you want to get them up a little bit, right?
Mhm.
But if it's a big game, you want to match that. We're not part of the show. And we
Correct.
shouldn't be part of the show, right? So if it's a really big game, gentlemen, congratulations on being here. We made a state final. This is a tremendous honor. Goalies, let's get it going, right? And there was, oh man, that guy knows what he's doing, right? Just because it's not about us, right? We get them going, they touch, everybody's good. Hey, remember to have fun. That's it, right? So come up with your line. It'll take some time. Find what you like saying, right? So I always like saying, gentlemen, this is Dom. I'm Rob. All you got to do is honor the game at all time. Let's have some fun today. Goalies. And we're good, right? So we can always do it that way. We just finish strong. And if you ever draw a blank, just be like, goalies, here we go. Right? Always. Awesome. Awesome. All right. We're gonna head back. You're gonna hear me talk on the quiz anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right, we'll head back to the main room and I'll see you in a second.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Rob, you're muted.
Keep muting me. Thank you, sir. Keeps muting me on re-entry. I feel like a space cadet. All right. So hopefully a little good. Of course, my group, we didn't get to the quiz, which is fine. So we talked, right? I think the biggest takeaway that we had, right, as we continue to do these talks, right, have confidence in what you say. Worst case, have a closing line, right? If we're in the lineup, I'm going to totally pick on Terrence for a second. Terrence like, I don't remember what to say. And I say, what do you say? And he says, goalies. Touch, right? You can always end it if you need to. So go in with confidence, end strongly, right? Short to the point, get the main keys out. All right, so let's rock and roll through these. Again, we will get you a physical copy once we get to the clinic of the high school rule book. We at least have the college rule book to get us by. Again, these are what I call, a lot of these are the minnows, right? There's a lot of key points that we're going to go through where the whales are within these minnows, because there's a lot of things in rule 4, right? So who gets to call the coin toss?
Visiting team.
Perfect. And Mike, since you're on, what does the coin toss determine before the start of a game?
It determines which side you're gonna defend first. So the goalie pick like he wants that goal or that goal, basically.
Yep, we can do the goal to defend first and third, or we can choose alternate possession as our alternative choice. We'll get to AP in a second. That's 7, right? Bonus question. I know Vernon is absolutely ready to jump and hop if I didn't do this. Bonus question. In overtime, what does the coin toss determine? We do another coin toss at the beginning of overtime, just once. What does the coin toss determine? Mike, say your answer again, please.
Just which side the goalie is going to defend.
Love it. The goal you're going to defend first period, then we start alternating. AP stays the same. You get more timeouts. Everything is on your scorecard. I'm drilling that point home on purpose, right? Because at some point you're going to forget. You're going to go, oh my God, I don't remember overtime. It's been 2 hours since I looked at a book, or what am I even doing here, right? Look at your card. That's the big key I want you to take away. Still know it, right? Awesome. Number 2, we talked about who needs to be in the lineup. I'm going to spill the beans since we already said it. We need an in-home. We need all 10 players, including a properly equipped goalie. So the answer is everybody who's starting the game. Number 3, anybody can jump in here. What is the only time a face-off does not occur?
When after a goal is scored, there's a dead ball foul penalty.
I guess there's 2 then. That wasn't my answer, but yeah, in a dead ball, John's already looking at me like, wow, you should have ran this by me. It's okay. Yes, in a dead ball foul is one of them, right? Absolutely perfect. And then what's the other scenario we do not have a face-off? Anybody but Mike on purpose, since Mike answered 3 correctly. Take a shot. It's a weird scenario, only happens in lacrosse.
Oh, is it the beginning of, can it be at the beginning of a quarter, correct?
Yep. In what
So
scenario?
if you're, I think, a man up and you have the ball, you maintain possession of the ball when you enter the next quarter.
Correct. If we have a uneven scenario, meaning there's a player in the box, we have to be uneven, right? And there's possession. The team who has possession is entitled to keep possession to start the quarter or the half. A very bizarre rule in terms of other sports to our sport, right? But you will see it very often. Coaches will very often start yelling, hold the ball. You'll also see in a minute-long penalty, similar to think of like hockey, right? Is that there's 15 seconds left in the quarter. They will actually not run a play. They rather run it for the full 45 than run it for the 15, right? Because again, possession is really, really, really key in our game when we're going to continue to talk that. Awesome. And Mike, you're getting bonus point. You're Vernon's favorite. Go ahead, Vernon.
Can I just add one thing?
Of course.
So that could be the team that is man down. They're man
Right.
down
I
and
meant
they
to
have
add,
possession. They
I
keep
meant to clarify that. I said man up, but you were correct. Either team. Just it has to be an odd man situation.
Correct. Either team. And it starts wherever that play ended. So we take it, if we had a field, right, we take where that ball is. So if it's the bottom right corner, we take it and flip it all the way across the field, since players and teams flip defending goals between the quarters. So it goes to the same spot relative. We just flip the field. What I sometimes do, and I'm not joking, I don't have one on me. Your scorecard has a field on the back of it. I mark the X and I literally turn it 180 degrees. It seems, again, I can't do math or understand geometry, and I can't. I'm but I literally, sometimes it's such in a weird spot. You can mark it, and you also, because of halftime, if you need to go run to the bathroom or do something, you forget, right? So I mark it on my scorecard and then I flip it, right? It's a good way to remember where it starts. Either team. All right. After a face-off, so a face-off occurs, the ball goes out, an official yells possession, meaning a team has picked up the ball. We're going to go into face-offs for you brand new officials. We'll get into that in a bit, right? When it yells possession, what happens to the field and the players?
Players are released from the box.
Correct. So remember, we're going to start rudimentary when we talk face-off. Face-offs are a 3-on-3 affair, so to speak, right? The 2 face-off guys, and then we have 2 sets of wings. So each team gets 3-on-3. We contain everything within those what's called restraining lines. Now they start to make sense why we call them. It restrains the players from participating in the face-off. If the ball goes over the restraining lines, we now play, the whole field is available for use. If a team gains possession, we will do a wind, So you're going to do a wind with me at home. We're going to do a nice wind. Even you veterans, we're going to get your arm muscles going. We're going to wind and yell possession. Everybody's got a different way. I have a very weird go, possession. Like it's not a word, but it's just a yell, right? Everybody's got their own thing on it, right? And we yell, and now we play 10 on 10. Remember, we want to be certain we have possession. Again, this is a safety scenario. Is if the ball is close to the box, the player goes to get it, but bobbles it. We now have 6 other teenagers trying to murder each other coming into play, right? We don't necessarily want that, right? We want to make sure it's good, it's clean, they have the ball, they can move into playing the game, right? We don't want a huge scrum of people. Make sense on that one? Number 5, we define possession with this section of the rule. Can somebody define possession for me the best they can without reading the rule book?
Basically, play with control of the ball.
Awesome. I didn't see who said that. What is control? Define control for me.
Uh, the ball's in the pocket of the stick.
And they
Ball's
can
in
do what with it?
he's able to control it, pass it, shoot it.
Perfect. Dom is on the right, so I will let him off the hook immediately because he is spot on, right? You're in control and you can do a lacrosse move, is what we call it. And a lacrosse move, pass, shoot, or dodge. Give a little shimmy shake, right? A dodge is some kind of move to evade somebody, right? So at that point, we have control and we have our body in a position, we can purposely do something. Pass, shoot, dodge, right? Perfect way how we define it. So if I go to scoop it and immediately goes in the air, I can't pass, shoot, or dodge within that, right? So think the same thing you saw yesterday, right? The process of a catch, the process of possession. Make sure they scoop it, it goes into their pocket, and they have that half a second to realize, can I do something, right? Let's go what the line itself, is the line out of bounds? Who's a basketball guy?
Yes.
Okay. Do we agree or disagree? Keep it moving, Rob. I heard that. Somebody yelled it, right? Yes, the line is out of bounds. You step on the line, the ball goes on the line, it's out of bounds. If we touch something over the line, we are out of bounds as well. The ball's out of bounds. We cannot participate as a player in the scrimmage area or in the game if we are physically out of bounds. We have to reestablish ourselves. Devin, do you want to do what's AP?
Yeah, sure. So AP is alternate possession. So when you do the coin toss, you can either choose like the side you want to defend, or you can choose alternate possession. So if you choose the side you want to defend, the other team will get alternate possession first. What this means is that, like, say that there's a loose ball on the ground and there's a pretty serious injury and you have to blow the play dead immediately. No team has possession there, so you need a way to like decide who gets possession, and that's where AP comes into play. So whatever team has the first AP, you'll automatically award the ball to them when you restart play after the injury. And then that alternate possession like flips to the other team. So that's why it's called alternate possession. So whoever has the first AP, if you use that up, then it goes to the next team and they'll get the next AP.
Question, where do you restart play?
Where the whistle occurs.
Okay.
Very few times, and I'm going to not trigger John here on this because there's a list of 400 to 500 different answers to this question. But generally speaking, every time when we blow a whistle, the restart will happen where the whistle occurred. There are some new, where the ball was, where the ball is when the whistle occurs. There are some nuances to that, and we will continue to kind of go over those. One of those being a shot, right? After like timeouts and different things, for the sake of not confusing you, if we use an AP, the ball starts in the same spot. AP is for us, if we cannot determine possession, we have to have some mechanism called AP to then give the ball fairly, right? And so generally speaking, there are, again, a lot of scenarios that this may occur. It's usually when the officials cannot determine possession cleanly. A great example, the ball is loose and rolling around. there's an injury, US lacrosse like saying a dog runs on the field. That is their favorite example they use every time. I've never seen a dog in all my days, but if a dog runs on the field and the ball is loose, that's a great scenario of we have to give it to somebody, right? And to the point, just like basketball, we call it a toggle. It toggles back and forth. But you can say it flips. We also need to announce that as well. So generally, if that occurs, you just turn to the table area and say, again, we're awarding by alternate possession. It's going to go white, alternate possession, now toggles. And we can just say it like that, right? And then you and your partner need to note that as well, because if something else arises, we need to get it right. Very good. Who wants to define a goal for us?
Goal is when you score.
Yeah, but so like I can,
Well-
Terrence, I just decided I scored. Did you give me a goal? No,
When the ball
man.
No, when the ball goes into the net.
Okay, define it. Define. It goes into the net. Is it on the line? Is it over the line? Does it hit the 3 posts?
go over the line completely.
It has to go over, like
Okay, fully over the line. Good.
fully
Is
over.
it a goal if I hit 3 posts?
No.
Not if the ball doesn't go over the line.
Never. It is physically impossible for it to occur. That is the worst myth in all of lacrosse, the 3 post rule. I don't know how many times it happens more often than not, at least twice a season. Every kid on the planet's like, it's an automatic goal, right? Because it's cool, but it's not a goal. Fully over the line,
Fully
right?
over the line? Okay.
What we need, the ball fully over the line. The only scenario that a ball fully over the line that doesn't count is
My guy should know this.
pick on one.
If the ball's in the goalie's stick and he's
Yes.
like basically his stick goes back like when he's trying to clear.
Yep.
And the ball happens to go in the goal, but it's not because he has the ball.
Correct. It's a weird one, right? If the goalie has possession and brings it back across the line and then throws it, we're good. Mr. Naramore, go ahead.
And in youth, actually at any level, if we had this added to language a few years ago, it's not in the book, but if that ball becomes loose inside the goal, and the reason we had that added in youth, you get a little kid with a big stick, he reaches back in the goal, and it falls out of his stick while his stick and ball are in the goal, and it drops to the ground. That, unfortunately, for the poor little kid, is a goal. So if it becomes loose in the goal, it's a goal.
Correct. And a weird one, John, correct me, in high school, if the flag's down, no goal.
It's 8 o'clock.
Right.
No, it's no goal if I'm just going to say the offensive team. So think of like hockey in an empty net, right? If they manage to throw it in their own goal with the flag down, it does not count in the sport of lacrosse.
Correct.
Does not count.
You can't score against yourself if there's a flag down for a penalty on the other team that's pending a slow whistle flag down.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the
All
key,
right.
and the other
Okay.
just thing I'll mention real quick, loose ball completely across the
Mhm.
goal line is the way to remember it. Yep.
Number 9, we're all going to say in unison. Can we dive in high school or youth?
No.
No.
Perfect. All right. On to 10. How do we define offsides? How many people do we need on the offensive side? How many people do we need on the defensive side at all times?
3 and 4.
7 and 6.
Oh, you mean,
Three-
okay.
3 and 4 is the correct answer. We need a
Oh.
minimum of 3 people, a maximum of 6 on offense. So you're both correct, right? Minimum 3 is just the way I worded it. Maximum 6 on the defensive side, minimum 4, maximum 7. We have to have one goalie on the field at all times. Doesn't matter where they are. Let me restate that. 3 minimum, 6 maximum on the offense. On the defensive half, we need 4 minimum, 7 maximum, 1 goalie, doesn't matter where they are. They're generally always in the defensive half, but they can go over as long as they maintain the minimums and don't go over the maximums, if that makes sense. When we count, we're always counting ahead of us. So if we see that there is 6 guys on offense and there's 7 guys on defense, we don't care what's behind us. coaches and players and fans will yell, they don't have enough, they got too many, there's only 2 defensemen back, they have to be offsides. By rule, they are not offsides. I have 6 and I have 7, I am totally good. My personal way of doing it, and I'll let the cadre step in if they have something different, I like counting by 2s. We do not count with our fingers out like this. It looks really bad, right? As we don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. In my brain, I go 2 white, 2 white, 2 white. I got 6, right? If I'm doing offense, on defense, 2, 2, 2. I'm generally accounting for the goalie at all times. I'm counting field players, right? When I'm doing my quick counts. You want to generally take a look in 2-man. There's a lot going on. The trail official has an easier time doing that. Sometimes the lead official down by the goal, as the ball slowly comes in, or if they're running substitutions, we get a good chance to kind of do a quick count. We don't have to count every time, but you'll also, as you continue to learn the game, your eye gets, if you see somebody running around not guarding somebody, it's usually an issue, right? There's usually an extra person, so we can count.
Rob, can I
yeah,
add
go
one
ahead.
thing?
Yeah, 100%.
Any player in the penalty box is counted on both sides of the field toward the maximum number allowed.
Got that? Awesome. So, what's the most important thing in the game of lacrosse? I'm going to give you a hint if you can see my share screen.
Possession.
Possession.
Terrence, say it with confidence, man. We talked about this.
Sorry.
It's always possession, right? So think of the way we adjudicate, or the way, if things go wrong in the game, if there's penalties, technical fouls, or personal, right? We always want to give possession first. That's number 1. So if you don't have the ball, you get the ball, right? If you do have the ball and you currently have possession and a foul has occurred, now we throw a flag for a time-serving foul in most cases, right? But just think in that way. If the ball is loose and you're fouled, we give you the ball. If you don't have the ball and you get fouled, we give you the ball. If you do have the ball and you get fouled, now the guy's got to sit out and feel some shame sitting in the penalty box. Many of you older people who've watched Slapshot in your life,
I knew
right?
that reference.
Excellent, right? The other side, when the team is off sides, when does the play become dead? And it's this different term we use. And I kind of like, this is a little bit trickier, more nuanced. But let's say there's 7 guys on offense, right? They shoot and score, and they're celebrating, their high five, and Dick, great goal, I loved it, right? And then we go, oh, there were 7 guys. When is the play technically dead?
When the goal is scored?
Nope.
No.
Go ahead, Devin.
So it's like, it's different between whether the team offsides is on offense or defense. So for offense, like the second that 7th person runs over, like the play should be dead right there. But on defense, like say you have a 7th person, or sorry, 8th, I guess, technically. Say you have like an 8th person that runs over the midline and is playing defense. You'll throw a flag down, but you'll let that play out. So you won't blow the whistle until, like, say the offense scores a goal or that the ball goes out of bounds or something.
Excellent, right? So we have a flag down scenario. Again, if the team's got possession, they're entitled to that possession. We allow them to continue that, right? But in that scenario, and again, Mike, it was a trick question on purpose, right? For the sake of that play, as soon as that team commits the foul, the play is dead. Even if the clock continues and everything continues to go, it's no goal. We have an offsides. It's the other team's ball. They didn't have possession. Now they get possession. We're going back, right? So again, it's this weird thing that we can, as officials, we can correct and get it right, right? We didn't see it right away. They scored a goal. You're not allowed to score a goal in that manner. You can't have more people on that side of the field. So we're simply going to take the ball away and take the goal off the board, right? Because the goal technically didn't occur because the play itself was dead. So different than blowing the whistle, right? But the play is dead within the terms of the rule book. Awesome. What are counts? And I'll kind of put this in with 14 to continue expediting this. What are counts and what's specifically the 10 count?
The 10 count is the count to get it into the restraining box, like get a touch.
Yep, so we get over the midline. We have to get into the attack area, which is that smaller box, right? So that's the 10 count. And what's the count that occurs before the 10 count?
The 20 count.
20 count.
So as soon as the defending team starts to clear, they have 20 seconds to get it over the midline. Is it 20 seconds to get it into the restraining box or just over the midline?
Just over the midline. So when the defensive team gains possession at any point, they now have 20 seconds to get over the midline. Once a team has possession in their offensive half, they have 10 seconds to touch it one time into the attack area. And then our counts are off. We also in lacrosse, once that 10-second count is satisfied, we now trigger what we call over and back. So if the ball comes back over the midline via the offense, it is a turnover. In the scenario, if the defense hits it over, different story. But again, it's kind of like backcourt in basketball. We activate it once that 10 count is done. So we have a 20, then a 10, and then once the 10 is satisfied, now we activate backcourt. So 20, 10, backcourt. Right?
Hey, Rob,
Yes.
you might want to discuss, can the 20 or 10 count ever be reset? And in what conditions can they be reset?
I think we throw that in the timing one, maybe.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I feel like that may overboard. Or do you have a briefer explanation than my brain does right now?
Yeah,
you
I
go
was
ahead.
just
You
going to
go
say,
ahead.
if the ball is checked out of bounds during a 20 count and it's still in the defensive end and it's awarded to the clearing team, they get a fresh 20.
Or a team takes a timeout, it will refresh your clock as well.
Timeout, right?
That's a very
right.
good point. In my
Same-
brain, I had like 30 different scenarios and I didn't want to say them all.
Yeah. Same with the 10 count once you're across the line.
Those are very good whales. Very good point. We're doing, right, just for time wise, let me race through a couple of these. A legal
one
body
second,
check.
1
Go
second.
ahead. Go ahead, Andy.
My group, he's forgot a count. What count is he forgotten?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did. What count are we missing? Andy, call somebody on your group, please.
Oh, somebody, Terrell. Has to do with the goalie.
Yep.
8 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
3
Divide by
seconds.
2.
Oh, too
4
short.
seconds.
4
4
seconds.
seconds.
Goalie gets 4 seconds once they gain possession to get and exit the crease area. Very good. Thank you, Andy. That's why you always need partners in life, because if you get 50% right and they get 50, you should be close to calling a 50% good game, right? You just gotta make sure they're different 50s. That's okay. Legal body check.
And the 4 is part of the 10.
4 is part of the 20.
I'm sorry.
20.
You're good.
Correct. The 4 is
Yep,
part
you're
of the
spot
20.
on. 4 is part of the 20. Yep. Think about sports, right? When we talk legal body checks, anything to the head or neck is no good. Anything below the waist is no good. Anything behind is no good. All checks need to come in your general chest area or in your shoulder area, right? Think of normal sports, right? When we're doing good checking. So again, that's our legal body check. Cross check, we're going to save a legal screen. We're allowed to set picks in this game. Think basketball. You need to be stationary. Everything needs to be shoulder width. Nothing protruding is the way I like to say it, including your stick, right? And you have to be, again, stationary, and you can't lean into stuff. You have to be completely set, right? You will see different variations of that. Again, guys can roll off of the pick once they're done. But again, it's a legal screen. Set your feet. You have to be there. That's it. We're going to move through it. We're going to do crease next week for time wise, because it's very, very intricate. There are 2 ways to sub. Anyone want to throw out how we sub? 2 different ways. You can just describe them. I don't like the names of them.
Well, one is on the fly while the game is in play.
And then the other way?
Dead ball.
Correct. Dead ball. I don't like the names because they're called special and regular, and I feel like it's the opposite, if that makes sense. On the fly, when the play is going, we change through the substitution area 1 for 1, and everything we do makes sense. Unlike hockey, we don't give a grace area. In hockey, you get like 5 yards to the bench. The other player has to be off the field when the new player can come on. In a dead ball, we have a free for all. Everybody can come on, everybody can come off during a dead ball, right? Again, there are certain scenarios. If it is in the field of play when we have the stoppage, so think of like a push is a normal call. It's a technical foul that occurred. We don't allow a dead ball sub because the team is entitled to what we call a quick or an expedited restart, if that makes sense, right? So again, substitutions can occur. The normal one is on the fly throughout the course of the game as the clock is ticking, 1 for 1 throughout the sub box. What is our restart cadence? So if the ball goes out of bounds, how do we do it?
On the fly, wait for whoever to pick it up, whoever has the ball, step in bounds.
Nope, ball goes out of bounds. What do we do as officials? Ball's out of bounds. What's the first thing we do?
Blow the whistle.
Yes, thank you. We got it. I thought we had it here. Let me check really quickly. All right, we're gonna blow the whistle.
Point who has control or whose ball it is.
These are all
Hand up
face-offs.
first.
Yeah. I'm like mashing slides on you. Nope, I'm sorry. I thought I had it. All right, so we're gonna do, let me just go back really quickly. Apologies for that. We're gonna move this one. Let me move this one back on to your viewing pleasure. Yep, so we're gonna put our hand up, right? Why do we put our hand up? What is the signal?
Dead ball.
Dead ball, stop the clock.
Stop the clock, way more important, right? We're gonna stop the clock, right? So we stop the clock. What does our whistle do?
Stop everyone.
Blow a whistle. Could be short, could be a. If we have something super wonky that occurs, like a flag down, and we don't want people to run back and bounds really quickly, what do we do with our whistle?
Well, tweets, more than one.
Yeah, vary it. Right? A whole bunch of my 2-year-olds laughing at my whistle, by the way. Right? We give some whistles, right? It's also, again, in our brain, right? We kind of understand it. The same thing is that all of a sudden, John, what do we got? What do we got, right? It gives us a different way to communicate, right? By just changing the cadence of our whistle. So think when the ball goes out, everybody knows it went out. Short, solid blast. Quick, right? When we restart the clock, what are we doing with our arm?
We're winding.
We're winding that clock. That clock's starting, right? I like to teach the simple way. When the ball goes out, one quick blast, right? When the ball goes back in, continue the whistle for your entire wind is a good way to remember it, right? So the ball's back in, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, whatever your wind is. A full wind is really 2. You can get by with a 1, if you will, if you make it a full 1. We don't want to see, because again, remember the clock operator needs to see your arm in a lot of these scenarios. We don't want, you didn't even see that on my screen. Or you see that nice and big, right? And sometimes, again, if it's a quick restart, you want to match that intensity, right? There's 15 seconds left in the game. They took a shot, even in a JV game. That attackman picks up the ball, wants to go. Let the whole place know we are starting this ball again, right? Out. We're in, right? Match that intensity. You don't want to hear. Then defense goes, I didn't hear a whistle. Now what do? Do we reset, right? We get into trouble really quickly because we don't match where the game is at, right? So nice and big on our dead balls, right? And if things go haywire, give a different cadence, right? You can also, same thing, this is our we're not ready sign when we're up, right? This means everything's stopped. This is what I call a yellow light. A lot of times our partners will blow through this once in a while. They might get a ticket at a red light camera, different story, right? But we want to throw this up on purpose, right? Hey, I'm not ready. And then we point towards where the ball is going if we're good, right? So we're going to match the field. Our partner sees that signal. I can now start play. If he sees it up, we should be waiting. In a scenario, something wonky, I'm going to throw 2 up. This is an older symbol. We still use it. I'm not going to explain what the older meaning is, but I use this of we're at a full stop sign. John, for the love of goodness, please see, I am not ready. The field's not ready. I'm not ready. Stop. Right? And if I'm bigging up like this, you're going to see two hands. If you kind of see this one, we'll see sometimes in games, especially on the far side, our partner's kind of like this, and then it moves to this real quick, right? Where I was kind of ready, right? Don't throw a middle. Does anybody know what this is? I don't either. Don't, right? Is this stop or is this go?
I don't know.
We see these. And I also like the limp noodle ones where you just kind of see this one and you're like, be clear for your partner. It's more for your partner than anybody else. The clearer and crisper our signals, right, the better it is. So we're going to go through these real quick. Even if you don't have a camera on, work with me here, right? So we have a ball out of bounds. What do? Whistle,
So
hand up, and we're going to point towards whose ball it is, right?
Yep.
Again, if the goalie gets it, sell it. Make it fun. That's the whole reason why we're out there, right? I'll point the same thing. My personal way, keeper, and we go out, right? Super big. Everybody sees it. It's a big play. The goalie hustled, especially if they're a bigger goalie. Got to give them some love, right? Make it exciting, right? Make it a little bit of fun. Goalie, we're going out as versus, right? And then everybody's looking at you. Continue to keep your signal up until you reblow it in, right? So now we're ready. The attackman's got the ball, right? We have a hand up or we're pointing. We're going to wind back in. Tweet. We're going to practice that. Ready? So ball's back in, ready to play, and
Sweet.
I like it, right? Practice these in the mirror. These are super important. I would say the two things, again, as new officials that I see is that the things we can control, blowing the whistle is absolutely number one. Number two is being as clear as day to our partners, right? And that includes the big one that I got dinged on a ton. And every time I leave for a game, my wife literally reminds me, tuck your thumb in. Make it a point, a nice firm point. I want to get it in camera frame, right? This looks bad. It's that way, right? Make as simple as it seems, right? Terrence, on basketball, the cleaner you are and the crisper you are, the more people believe you, even if you're full of you know what, right? Is you just got to be confident in what we do. All right. The couple other ones, and then again, I think we're definitely gonna push personal fouls, but let's go through these. When do we change goals? Semi-trick question. At the end of the quarter.
After each quarter.
Yep. And in overtime. Do we automatically change goals? Yes or no?
No.
Depends on the toss.
Good answer. Mike coming in to save us, right? Because Mike looked at the back of his card. All right. We now go to how many team timeouts per half?
Two.
Two per half. Good. How many timeouts per team per overtime period?
One.
They automatically go to one. It doesn't matter if the team had 2 or 0 or 1, they go back to 1. Overtime is new periods. Each overtime period, you get a new timeout. Be very conscious of those timeouts if you do get to overtime. Coaches love using them, even in JV games, because you just want to face off, you got possession, you like to win the game. So we want to talk about it. That's okay, right? Timeouts, where can they be called? And what do you have to have in order to call them?
Possession.
Go ahead, Dave.
Possession.
Yep. And where do you need to be on the field in high school rules?
In the offensive zone.
Do we want to clarify that?
Across the midline.
Everywhere for high school. Everywhere for high school, you're good. And in college, we see TV, it's got to be across the restraining line. High school, anywhere on the field. One of the big differences of when we do college versus high school rules. Anywhere on the field. As long as you have possession, you can also call it on any dead ball except for those, again, in the field plays. A push, we want a quick restart. I can't have a timeout.
That's college rules. High school, either team can call it.
Even on a flag down? You sure of that?
On
a technical foul in the field of play?
Yeah, in high school, yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Change that, did they?
I
A time of dead ball.
on any dead balls except for in the field of play, right? We're gonna look that up super quick.
Time serving, I think you can, John, but not just a turnover technical.
Yeah, not in the field of play. Right? We're gonna look that up super quick for you.
One other comment, just real quick. You can't call 2 consecutive timeouts in a row unless play has restarted. Any given team can't call 2 consecutive. So you can have team A call a timeout on a dead ball, let's say, then team B, but then team A can't call a second one because play hasn't restarted. So they're non-consecutive timeouts for a given team.
Wait, can I just say,
Of course.
did we just see that John Brennan get a question wrong? My first time in 10, 15 years.
I don't think so.
Oh,
We're gonna let him look that up because I don't know about that one. That might be the step. We're gonna go back to that one. We already answered this question before. When and where do we restart? Spot of the ball in most scenarios where the ball was at the time of the whistle. There's some nuances. We will go through those, including like goalie interference. The other one is if a flag occurs and we stop the play. And now we have a man up scenario. If the ball is in the defensive half and they get to go to the offensive half, we move them up to the midfield as an example. There are a few examples that we do that, but generally speaking, rule of thumb, when a whistle, wherever the ball was last, to the best of your ability, that's where it's going to start. And the big exception, the offense generally never gets to start within the offensive attack zone. Shot, they get to do that, or if they call it a timeout after a shot, they get awarded. We won't go into there's very nuanced ways. Generally don't start them in the box is the good rule of thumb. Equipment inspection. This is a bizarre one. I'm going to go through it very quick. Coaches may request an official equipment inspection, a full equipment inspection. They get one freebie. So if they're wrong, nothing happens. It's rare in our game that they request that. They generally have some insider information that something's incorrect and they want to get a flag or a penalty for it. If they're wrong, they get one freebie. If they're wrong a second time, they are charged their timeout and get a penalty.
So that could be asked at any point in the game.
In a dead ball scenario.
In a dead ball scenario. Okay.
Same dead ball.
Okay.
In terms of long crosses, how many?
4.
4 is the max. 4 is the max we can have. You can have any minimum. I'm actually not seeing the rule. I got Vernon on his heel, so I'm going to enjoy every second of this at this point. How many overtimes do we play?
4.
How much is the time period for overtime?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, but how many overtimes do we play?
Oh,
It's
unlimited?
many. Unlimited.
It's unlimited. We go into it. There's no ties in the game of lacrosse. Again, use common sense. If it is pitch,
I think the slides hit 4. So, all right.
it should be 4 minutes. We go until
Okay.
there's a winner. It generally doesn't take 4, to be honest with you. People are trying to score goals very quickly. We go until there's a winner. Use common sense. If it is pouring rain and the coach has said we're good, we can we're in overtime 7, right? We can make a decision. If it is pitch black, we might need to suspend the game to that point. Always call Dave or have your referee call Dave, or again, our assigner on that one. John, we got input on this one?
You're back on the timeouts or where
Yeah.
you're on now? Yeah.
On the timeout one?
Yeah. When the ball's dead, either team can call a timeout.
oh, I feel so
I didn't
much
see it in
better.
I didn't see that one on that one.
Under
I agree
federation-
with you.
Under federation rules, under NCAA, if there's an on-field technical foul turnover, the team that's on defense cannot call a timeout even though the ball is dead. But that is a rule difference.
Perfect. I've been calling that wrong for a very long time, and it's fine. Do whatever you want.
And no one knew.
Yeah, that's it. So again, any dead ball, we're good. I know the dead ball has to be, it can't be in the field of play for the officials one, because you're not, again, the point is, John, correct me if I'm incorrect on this, but the point is you're not supposed to gain an advantage. So if it's a quick restart, we don't want to take away an advantage by a coach using something, right?
You're talking about the equipment inspection?
In the equipment inspection.
Yeah, that's another rules.
Yeah,
get
think
that
like
way.
normal, right?
but,
Like there's
you know,
normal dead balls and then the quick
Yeah.
restart. We don't want to take away a quick restart for a fair advantage for a team, right? There's a quick turnover. Think of very simply, right? The ball goes out of bounds. That's a bad scenario. But let's say if the team is clearing it, they drop it, they push somebody and they go to pick it up and they have numbers. They want that odd man rush, so to speak, right? We want to grant that team to have that capability to get that. AP question, again, we kind of talked about, and then again, we have the scenario of stalling called get it in, keep it in, last 2 minutes, right? Under 4 goals or under 4 or less, we're going to reduce the amount of space they have and only keep them in the attack area, the attack box, so to speak. Make sense on those?
So that's automatically under 2 minutes. We do that, right?
If it's 4 goals or less, only for the offensive team.
But at 2 minutes was when we do that, correct?
Correct. So at 2 minutes, so the way the
Fourth
mechanic
period.
in the
Yeah.
fourth period only 2 minutes remaining in the game, the mechanic works at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. We give a get it in warning.
And that's
It's
10 seconds to get it in.
Kind of, and I always say be cautious on this. We give the warning, but they technically don't have to go into the 2 minute mark. So again, you don't want to necessarily give a weird count. I'm just mute. US lacrosse has a weird way of explaining it as well. The same thing, because if you notice it at 2:06, so there's a restart, we don't want to start a 10 count and then they think they have a clearing count, right? So essentially we say get it in, we just give them a warning. It's a L, right? So we give an L and we point towards the goal. We say get it in, and that's their warning. I don't count in this scenario. Then once they're in, then we say keep it in, and we do this. I say repeat it, give or take every 20 to 30 seconds within reason, right? You don't need to do it 100 times, but if the same thing has gone on for a minute and the team hasn't come near the side or continues coming near, you want to just remind them. We don't want to trap people, right? In the scenario of a stall, this is very advanced. You will most likely never see this within a JV or a freshman or a youth game. If you feel they are stalling, meaning they are not making an honest attempt to go to the goal, we don't give a time frame on purpose, but a 90 seconds or so, they are clearly just trying to drain the clock. We may then instruct them to get it in. Now we have 10 seconds because it is a mandate. They have to go into the box, and once they get in the box, now they stay in the box. The easier way to do that, again, this is advanced. Andy loves this one too. We wait until they're behind the net. There's no chance that that kid touches in and comes out and says, I didn't hear you. As they're going towards the back end, we'll look at each other. Andy will look at me and goes, yeah, we're going to do this. And I go, no problem. And then we both slam it on. Really big, really loud, get it in. We echo each other. We mirror each other. There is no question on the field what we're doing. We feel you're stalling and we're going, right? We had this scenario last year, Andy and I, same thing. We fought, a team was standing. We both massively mirrored it. The coach said, well, what do you mean? We both got it. And then you're yelling at one, right? And then Andy perfectly said, my partner had it too. And I go, absolutely. I got a stall as well. What are we arguing about? I called it, not Andy. Stop yelling at him, right? And vice versa. But we do things like that on purpose, right? Is we're not trying to trap them. We're not trying to gain an advantage to be an official. When the player comes in, we say, this has been a long time. We can also talk about it. People have different signals. My favorite, even in a college game, I literally yelled. I said, hey, Dick, what do you think? And the coach went ballistic and goes, you can't call stall. I go, I just asked Dick what he thought. I didn't say anything about a stall. I didn't say anything about anything else, but now everybody knows what I'm thinking, right? And they're on the same page. Magically, they went to the net. It was perfect. We don't have to call a stall. We don't have to do that. Things like that. Excuse me, it was a high school game. I apologize. It wasn't in college, but we did it. And then everybody said, oh, but again, you can talk and use your tools. We don't want to trap. Questions on any of these? This was a lot. I understand that.
Can I make one comment about restarting the ball on the sideline? We talked about the mechanics, but try to avoid language. Don't start talking about, well, the ball went off blue and now it's White's ball. Because if you say two colors, then the teams will get confused, the coaches will get confused. If you need to say a color, just say the color of the team who's going to gain possession. Red ball.
I love that. that's fantastic. And the same thing as we practice these, same thing with penalties. The one that you see, and again, I'll just kind of recap this as we go through. Again, we don't need to go full board into the explanation. Is US Lacrosse like spending a little bit more time on the explanation? You don't have to give an explanation, right? If a person got tripped, you don't have to say, coach, he knocked him off his feet. We don't have to go that far, right? It's a trip. We're good, right? We have blue, 13. They don't like hand signals. If you're a basketball guy and still like 1-3, that's fine. Like, we're not going to come onto the field and yell at you, right? Some people like doing that. Most table people don't understand how we do the numbers or this and that and whatever, right? So we just go blue. We have a slash, nice and big, 1 minute. That's it. Blue, 13 slash 1 minute, right? Nice and easy. In the scenario, if you think it warrants it, we can throw an explanation, right? And it's, again, simple. We have blue 13. It's an illegal body check to the head. 2 minutes. We're going full time, right? They call it the genie. They like this one. I like kind of going a little bit in front of me. It's fine. But again, we don't have to go fully into it, right? Sometimes I will see the most often, I will throw when a player is arguing and the coach is arguing a slash, I will explain where it hit. That's my best advice to it. And that's as far as I usually go with an explanation when I give it to the whole audience, as I say, because everybody's watching us, right? Blue 13 slash in the back, 1 minute. That's as far as I'm going, because they're all going, oh, I didn't hit him. I go, back, right? And I literally just point to where it is. Now you go, oh, that guy at least is pretending like he knows what he does and he's not going to argue, right? And we're good, right? And you kind of say, coach, right in the back, right? And again, you don't want to be adversarial. That, even the way I said it, makes it sound adversarial, but you can give a smaller explanation later, or you move down. We adjudicate the penalty, we go down, coach, you hit him 3 times in the back. We're good? We're good, right? So again, a lot to go over in rule 4. We're going to purposely slide back. Let me just go. I know we're over time. Let me just kind of go here and let me go undo that one. And so we will go through face-offs. We will also go through personal fouls, and we're going to do crease privileges next week as well. We built in some buffer time on purpose for these. These slides are available. If you want to go through, it will help out to watch these videos so we don't have to spend as much time. Again, these PowerPoints are up. Again, to me, the personal fouls are a little bit easier to understand, because if we look in the context of sport, we can't knock somebody off of their feet with their stick, right? We can't trip somebody. We can't hit somebody high. We can't hit somebody from behind. We can't use our stick as a weapon. We can't use our elbow. We can't hit somebody below, right? As we start thinking about these are standard ways that we conduct sports. We can't hit helmet to helmet in any sport, right? There's safety issues. They're also just gentlemanness issues with any of these, right? Any of these we can read through and see. Do that, I would say, for our homework. We will spend time on the face-off as well. I think we overcomplicate the face-off. As a former face-off guy myself, I'm not saying this because I cheated as much as anybody else, but I feel like there is no other play in the game where we talk about if your hand is 1 inch or a quarter of an inch left or right. We don't do any of that in the entire 60 minutes except for the face-off. We are very, very dialed in and very specific on how these need to occur, and yet we don't do that in any other aspect of the game. So we will do it in a general context. For you newer officials, this will be mind-blowing. And I understand this because we don't do this in any other sport, right? So we're going to spend time similar to the goal crease. We don't have a lot of creases in other sports, and even like in hockey, it's very vague compared to us. Dick and Steve Hinchy are going to jump in and do the crease next week for you. I'm going to spend time in the face-off, and then we will go through the personal fouls, like we said, and again, give you a framework. And to the last part of this too, it is a dynamic game. We try to explain it very statically, like if this person hits this person here. Well, in the rule book, it's perfect. Everybody hits him in the back squarely. Now, if you're running through the field through 6 people, explain to me where you actually got hit. Some coaches will do the well thing and they pull up their kid's jersey and you're like, stop undressing a minor and stay there, right? We don't need that. But they go, oh, I got hit right. There's a lot of dynamics to it. People are spinning, they're moving, they're inside of stuff. Don't overly worry. We're going to catch the whales and not the minnows. Again, is our theme for this entire training and this entire seating. Whales, not minnows. I will stay on till last person's here. I'll resend this one out. I will send this deck and I will send a specific gold crease deck that you can view through. Again, to give you an idea, face-offs are going to start slide 14. And then personal fouls are after that. That's the same deck I sent last week. I'll resend it. Again, just a reminder, they're in the folder. All the decks are there. I'll resend that one out that you can look at. Let me know if you got questions, concerns, bad jokes, any of that stuff. I'll stay on. Thanks for hanging out for an extra 7 minutes. Apologize going over, but Rule 4 is super dense. Hopefully you got a lot out of it and you retained some of it too. Sound good? We'll see you next
Thank
Monday.
you so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Rob.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Rob, stop sharing your screen.
Yep, and I want to
Thanks, Rob.
do stop recording.